My friends, there is a reason for everything under heaven. Seasons of joy, seasons of hardship, seasons of fellowship, and yes, seasons of solitude. Many of us view loneliness as a form of suffering, but what if that period of aloneness is divinely appointed? What if God, in his infinite wisdom, sees fit to separate you, to pull you aside so that he can accomplish something extraordinary in your life? There are moments in life when it seems as though God has pulled you aside, separated you from the world, the crowd, and even those closest to you. It can feel unsettling, lonely, and at times confusing. Yet these seasons of solitude are not without divine purpose. In fact, they are some of the most intentional and transformational moments that God has designed for those he calls. When God isolates you, it's because he is preparing you, strengthening you, and developing you for a purpose that is often beyond anything you can currently imagine or understand. Think of it this way: before any great work can be accomplished, a foundation must be laid. Imagine a towering building being constructed without a solid foundation. It would crumble under pressure, no matter how beautiful or ambitious the structure. In the same way, God knows that before he can build something extraordinary in you, he must first develop a foundation that can withstand the weight of what's to come. That foundation isn't built in the hustle and bustle, in the noise, or in the company of many voices. It is crafted in the stillness, in the quiet, in the places where it's just you and God. The moments of isolation become the groundwork for everything that follows. When God separates you, he does so with intention. He sees the distractions that pull at your attention and the voices that influence your heart. God knows that in order to prepare you for the fullness of his purpose, he must first bring you to a place where you can hear his voice clearly. It's as though he calls you into a holy retreat, a divine pause, where you are stripped of external influences so that he can reveal what truly lies within you. It is in these solitary places that God refines your character, strengthens your faith, and stretches your spiritual muscles so you become fully equipped to handle the responsibilities he is preparing for you. Consider how many times God used isolation to prepare his chosen ones in Scripture. Think of Moses, who spent 40 years in the desert tending sheep before God called him to lead an entire nation. During those years, he was away from Egypt, away from the noise of the palace and the familiar comforts of his old life. It was there in the desert that God was shaping him into the leader he would need to be. The desert was not a place of abandonment, but of preparation. God was cultivating patience, humility, and resilience in Moses, qualities that he would need to fulfill the monumental task ahead. That time of isolation was a necessary phase of preparation for the purpose that awaited him. Or think of David, a young shepherd who spent countless hours alone in the fields. Many may have seen him as forgotten, merely a boy with sheep for company. But in that solitude, David was learning courage, faith, and trust in God. He fought lions and bears in the quiet of the hills long before he ever faced Goliath in front of Israel's armies. Each moment of isolation was God's way of training David, preparing him for battles he didn't even know he would fight. That preparation was not something he could find in a crowd or from the praises of others. It was something born in solitude, in the quiet confidence that comes from knowing God is with you even when no one else is. In the same way, when God isolates you, he is preparing you for challenges, victories, and tasks that you cannot yet see. He is developing qualities in you that may go unnoticed now, but will be essential for what lies ahead. Patience, resilience, faith, and obedience are all honed in these moments. God often uses these times to remove the things that have attached themselves to you, things that may hinder your progress or divert you from your purpose. Isolation allows you to become solely focused on God's will, and not on the opinions, expectations, or pressures of those around you. Solitude also becomes the place where you deepen your dependence on God. When God separates you, it's as though he removes all other supports, all the things you might lean on or rely upon instead of him. In these moments, you learn that he is your source, your sustainer, your provider, and your friend. It's one thing to say, I trust God in the company of others, but it's an entirely different experience to walk that out in the quietness of isolation. You begin to realize that his presence is more than enough, that his word is your anchor, and that his promises are your security. This level of trust and dependence is not built in the presence of a crowd. It is forged in the one-on-one encounters with God, where he speaks to the depths of your soul. This process, though difficult, also strengthens your identity. In solitude, there's no one to affirm or question you, no external validation to rely on. You are left with only God's word and his affirmation of who you are. It is here that God solidifies your identity in him, freeing you from the need to find value in titles, positions, or approval from others. You learn to see yourself as God sees you, to embrace your worth not because of what you do or who you impress, but because of who he has created you to be. This is a powerful foundation, a kind of unshakable confidence that only comes from knowing you are fully known, fully loved, and fully called by God. So when God separates you, understand that he is not punishing you. He is preparing you, building a foundation that will support the greatness he has placed within you. You are being strengthened, equipped, and transformed for something that is beyond what you can see right now. Solitude is often the path to deeper self-discovery and spiritual maturity, guiding you to hear God's voice more clearly. When God draws you into a season of solitude, it's an invitation to look inward, to truly examine who you are in the light of his presence. In a world filled with noise, opinions, and demands, it's easy to lose sight of your true identity, the one God himself has crafted within you. This time alone is a sacred opportunity to strip away external definitions and uncover who you are without the labels and roles that society places upon you. Solitude is not simply a lack of company, it's a period of divine self-discovery where the truest version of yourself begins to emerge. God invites you to this space to go beyond surface level understandings and dig deeper into your heart, soul, and mind. In these moments, you begin to understand what truly matters, what your values are, and where your faith truly stands. It's easy to assume we know ourselves well, but often the constant input from others influences our thoughts and behaviors in ways we don't even realize. Solitude provides the necessary pause to reflect on these influences, allowing God to shine his light on any areas that need healing, correction, or affirmation. This journey of self-discovery is essential because to walk confidently in God's purpose, you must first know who he's called you to be. Identity is foundational to calling, and without it, you may find yourself swayed by the changing tides of life. Solitude then becomes the space where you and God establish who you are, not by your successes or failures, but by his design. As you delve into this process, something remarkable happens. Spiritual growth accelerates. When you're alone with God, without distractions, you're able to focus solely on his voice. This kind of spiritual focus is rare in our busy lives, but it's in these quiet times that you develop a deeper connection with God. Scripture becomes alive in a new way, not just words on a page, but a source of revelation that speaks to your current journey. Prayer, too, transforms, becoming less of a ritual and more of a genuine conversation with God. This closeness to him is what fuels spiritual growth, allowing you to see, understand, and experience God on a whole new level. In these moments, the superficial layers of faith begin to fall away. Faith built on convenience or inherited beliefs can only take you so far. But in solitude, God invites you to explore the depths of your belief, to ask questions, to wrestle with doubts, and to seek answers that are not merely secondhand, but birthed from your own experiences with him. You begin to move from a surface level understanding to a deep-rooted faith that can withstand life's storms. This process isn't always comfortable. It can feel like being stripped down to the core, but it's necessary. God allows this discomfort to refine your faith, to help you know not only who he is, but also who he is to you personally. As your relationship with God deepens, you also become attuned to his guidance. When you are surrounded by people, activities, and constant motion, it's hard to recognize God's subtle direction. But in solitude, your spiritual senses are heightened. You begin to notice his promptings, his whispers, the gentle ways he leads you that are often overlooked in the noise. This sensitivity to God's guidance becomes a powerful asset as you move forward, giving you clarity and direction that's rooted in his wisdom, not in fleeting opinions or temporary circumstances. Solitude becomes, therefore, a season of preparation. It's not meant to be a permanent state, but it serves as a necessary phase in your spiritual journey. Just as a seed must first be planted in solitude beneath the soil before it can sprout and bear fruit, so too must you go through seasons of unseen growth. God is nurturing something within you that the world cannot yet see, something that will eventually come forth to bless and impact others. But for now, He works in you, shaping, refining, and strengthening you for what lies ahead. This process may also expose areas of personal limitation or areas that require healing. Maybe there are unresolved hurts, hidden fears, or old mindsets that need God's touch. Solitude allows God to address these issues, bringing them to light so that you can be healed and set free from anything that might hinder your journey. God does not want you to step into your purpose carrying the weight of unresolved pain or limiting beliefs. He desires you to be whole, healed, and free, ready to embrace the future He has prepared for you. In solitude, God also opens your eyes to the gifts and abilities He's placed within you. Often these gifts remain dormant or undiscovered because we're too busy to recognize them. But in isolation, God reveals your potential, showing you what you're capable of in His strength. You begin to see yourself as He sees you, with strengths, talents, and a unique role in His kingdom. This revelation builds a sense of purpose and confidence, a quiet assurance that you are equipped for the calling He has placed on your life. In these moments, you are being prepared for something greater. You're being rooted in God's truth, grounded in His love, and equipped for the journey ahead. It's not an easy process, but it is a purposeful one. God is not just shaping who you are, but also preparing you to impact others in ways you may not yet understand. The solitude becomes a time of sacred transformation, a space where God lays the foundation for the future He has designed for you. When others aren't around, it allows you to develop a true, unbreakable dependence on God alone. In seasons of solitude, when the familiar faces and voices are no longer there, God invites you into a place of complete dependence on Him. This is not just a lesson in trust. It's a journey toward a profound reliance on God that becomes the foundation for everything in your life. In the noise of community and connection, it's easy to lean on the people around you, to seek comfort and validation from external sources. But when God removes these supports, when He brings you into a time of isolation, it is to teach you that He is your ultimate source of strength, provision, wisdom, and comfort. Without the support of others, you are left with God alone, and that can be a powerful and transformational experience. This dependency is not about deprivation, but about realization. God knows that if your trust is scattered across various people and things, your faith will be divided. He desires a focused, undivided faith that rests solely on Him. In solitude, you begin to discover that God is not only enough, but is also more than enough. You realize that He is not just present when others are gone. He is all sufficient in every circumstance, the rock upon which you stand. Dependence on God alone also transforms your prayer life. When there are no other voices to turn to, you find yourself drawn into deeper communion with Him. Prayers shift from being requests or formalities to heartfelt conversations. You begin to bring every need, every concern, every question directly to God, and in doing so, you experience Him in a more intimate way. Your relationship with God moves from one of formality to friendship, from acquaintance to confidant. You come to know God not as a distant figure, but as a loving Father, a faithful friend, a wise counselor who is actively involved in every detail of your life. During these times, God often allows situations that test your faith and patience. These are not meant to punish you, but to strengthen your ability to rely on Him. Perhaps you face a challenge with no clear solution, or you're waiting on something that seems delayed. In these moments, you learn to let go of control and to trust God's timing and His ways. Dependency on God doesn't mean passively waiting. It means actively choosing to trust, even when you don't have all the answers. You grow in patience and resilience and in the kind of faith that knows God is working even when you can't see it. You come to understand that His ways are higher, His plans are greater, and His timing is always perfect. The beauty of this dependence is that it builds unshakable confidence in God. When you face future trials or walk through difficult seasons, you'll carry with you the assurance that God has been faithful before and will be faithful again. You'll have a history with God, a testimony of his provision, guidance, and strength in times of need. This experience of total reliance on God changes you. It strengthens your faith and becomes a source of courage that no storm or challenge can take away. In isolation, God also teaches you that dependence on him is not just about receiving from him, but about aligning with his will. When you're no longer driven by the opinions or expectations of others, you're more open to hearing what God has to say, to aligning with his desires rather than your own. He begins to guide your heart, shaping your desires, your priorities, and your plans to fit his purpose. You start to realize that true fulfillment comes not from achieving your own dreams, but from walking in his will. Dependence on God frees you from the constant striving, from the need to prove yourself or seek approval, because you know that he is the one guiding you. In a world that values self-sufficiency and independence, dependence on God might seem counterintuitive. But this reliance is not weakness, it's strength. It is strength rooted in the one who has power over all things, who sees the end from the beginning, and who holds your future securely in his hands. God's design for dependence is not to make you feel powerless, but to empower you with his strength. When you're connected to him, when your life is rooted in his presence, you carry a confidence that is greater than any earthly assurance. Dependence on God also brings peace. Instead of worrying about every detail, every decision, and every outcome, you find rest in knowing that God is in control. When you rely on him, you can surrender your fears and anxieties, trusting that he is working all things for your good. This kind of peace is rare in a world that constantly pressures you to be in control, to have everything figured out. But in God's presence, you learn the beauty of surrender, the freedom that comes from knowing you don't have to carry every burden alone. God's purpose in teaching you dependence is ultimately to bring you to a place of unwavering trust, to deepen your relationship with him, and to prepare you for the journey ahead. He knows that when you fully rely on him, you are equipped for anything. You are prepared not only to receive his blessings, but also to withstand the pressures and responsibilities that come with them. God does not want you to carry the weight of your calling on your own. He wants you to know that he is with you, guiding, strengthening, and sustaining you every step of the way. In these quiet, isolated moments, God is building a resilience within you, a spiritual fortitude that is rooted in who he is. This unbreakable dependence on him becomes the anchor for your soul, the source of strength that will sustain you no matter what challenges or trials you face. Through dependence, God molds you into a person of unwavering faith, a vessel ready to carry his purpose forward. God uses solitude as a time to prepare you for the unique purpose he has designed for you, equipping you to fulfill a greater calling. When God calls you into a season of isolation, he's often laying the groundwork for something significant, something that requires a depth of character, resilience, and wisdom that can only be cultivated in the quiet. God sees not only who you are, but who you are meant to become. And he knows the preparation required to make that transformation. This solitude, therefore, is not a passive waiting period, but an active season of preparation where God is equipping you, training you, and aligning your heart with his purpose. In solitude, God works on your character in ways that no public arena or crowded space could ever accomplish. There are qualities that are only refined in the quiet patience, humility, discipline, and perseverance. He molds these within you so that when he calls you forth, you'll have the strength and integrity to carry the weight of your purpose. This preparation might feel slow or even hidden, but God knows that a calling built on a weak foundation will not last. He uses isolation to strip away what's unnecessary, to sharpen your focus, and to instill a sense of purpose that is unwavering. This is a time when God brings clarity to your life's mission. Away from distractions, he reveals his vision for you with greater precision. You begin to see where he's leading you and what he's calling you to become. This vision may not come all at once, but in pieces, in whispers, and in insights that deepen over time. God plants these seeds of calling within you, and as you nurture them in prayer and reflection, they take root. When you are later thrust into situations where you'll need this clarity, you'll know without doubt that it is God who has called you and that it is his purpose you're pursuing. Through this time, God also strengthens your gifts. He helps you discover and develop the talents and abilities that will play a central role in fulfilling your purpose. In solitude, you have the freedom to experiment, to practice, to grow without the pressures of immediate results or the opinions of others. Whether it's honing a skill, gaining new insights, or receiving spiritual wisdom, God uses this time to expand your capacity. This quiet season is when your gifts are sharpened, your weaknesses are addressed, and your strengths are multiplied, all to prepare you for the work He has designed. Preparation also includes a time of purification. In solitude, God often reveals areas in our hearts that need refining, places where we might still be holding on to pride, unforgiveness, or fear. These are things that could hinder your effectiveness in your calling, and God in His love brings them to the surface. It may feel uncomfortable, but it is necessary. In the quiet, God purges what doesn't belong, transforming you from the inside out so that when you step into your calling, you're not just capable, but fully aligned with His heart and values. One of the most powerful aspects of this preparation is that it instills a sense of resilience. When you spend time in solitude, wrestling with your own doubts and seeking God's guidance, you emerge stronger. You develop a fortitude that prepares you to face challenges, opposition, and unexpected turns without losing sight of your purpose. This resilience is born from knowing that you and God have walked through a season of testing and preparation together. So when you step into your calling, you do so with a courage and determination that nothing can shake. God's preparation in solitude is also His way of preparing you for leadership. Often the call He places on your life involves leading, influencing, or serving others. But before you can lead well, you must first be led by God. In isolation, God trains you to listen to His voice, to depend on His guidance, and to align your decisions with His wisdom. This training is invaluable, for when you're later called to make choices that affect others, you'll know how to seek God first. This ability to lead from a place of divine alignment becomes one of the greatest strengths in fulfilling your purpose. As God prepares you, He is not just equipping you for tasks, He's transforming you into someone who can carry His light into the world. This season of solitude shapes you not only for what you will do, but for who you will become, a person grounded in faith, led by purpose, and committed to God's vision. This preparation is an investment in your future, in the impact you'll make, and in the lives you'll touch. And when God finally calls you forward, you'll be ready not because of what you've achieved, but because of who He shaped you to be in the quiet moments with Him. God uses solitude to prepare you in ways that are unseen and sometimes even unappreciated by others. But know that each moment, each lesson, each refining fire is building within you the strength, wisdom, and resilience you'll need. When you step into the calling He has prepared, you'll carry the marks of this preparation with you, and they'll be the testimony of God's faithfulness and His divine purpose for your life. This is His promise that the quiet times are not wasted, but are sacred, intentional seasons where God is preparing you for something far greater than you could ever imagine. Through isolation, God builds within you a faith that trusts His timing, helping you let go of your own agenda and align with His divine schedule. In a season of solitude, God often slows the pace, allowing you to learn that faith is not just believing in His power, but trusting in His timing. In the busyness of life, it's easy to fall into the habit of pushing forward, setting your own plans and expecting everything to happen on your schedule. But when God brings you into a period of isolation, He's teaching you to release control, to let go of your personal timeline, and to align yourself with His perfect timing. This is not always easy. We live in a culture that values immediate results, but God's ways are not bound by the limitations of time. He sees the whole picture, and He knows the precise moments for everything in your life to come to pass. In solitude, you come face to face with the need for patience. This is where God shapes your endurance, teaching you to wait well, not in frustration or impatience, but in peaceful trust. It's in these quiet times that you realize faith is not just about believing God will bring something to pass. It's about trusting that He knows the right time and way to do it. When you don't see immediate results, it's tempting to wonder if God has forgotten or if your prayers are being overlooked. But in solitude, you learn to silence those doubts, to trust that God is working in ways you cannot yet see. Faith then becomes a deep assurance that his delays are not denials, but divine setups for something greater. This trust in God's timing also means surrendering your own agenda. God often uses isolation to reveal areas where we're holding on too tightly to our own plans or desires. When we relinquish these, we make room for his plans, which are infinitely wiser and more purposeful. You begin to understand that God's timing is not just about the right moment, it's about preparing you to handle what he's bringing into your life. This season of solitude becomes a time where God teaches you to focus not just on what you want to achieve, but on who you are becoming in the process. His timing is always connected to purpose, and in waiting, he shapes you to be the person who is ready to receive and steward what he's prepared. As you develop this faith in God's timing, you also begin to trust his process. Often the things we desire or pray for require growth, both within us and in our circumstances. In isolation, God allows you to see that he is working in the background, aligning people, opportunities, and resources according to his divine schedule. You come to understand that some things simply take time and that God is not in a hurry. He is patient, thorough, and always intentional. Through solitude, you learn to appreciate this process, to see that God's timing is not about speed, but about depth, quality, and enduring impact. This understanding brings a new level of peace as you realize that your journey is unfolding according to a rhythm set by God, not by your own urgency. This trust in God's timing also equips you with resilience for future seasons. When you've learned to wait on God, you develop a strength that allows you to stand firm, even when things don't go according to plan. You become less likely to be swayed by pressure, fear, or impatience, because you know that God is faithful to fulfill his promises in his time. This resilience is invaluable as it enables you to move forward with confidence, knowing that God's timing is flawless. It frees you from the need to rush, compete, or compare, because you understand that what God has for you will come to you when the time is right. Through isolation, God is teaching you a lesson in trust that will serve you for a lifetime. This faith in his timing will become a foundation on which you can build, giving you the ability to navigate future seasons with calm assurance, even when the path is unclear. As you grow in this faith, you'll find that you're no longer anxious about the unknown. Instead, you're able to rest, knowing that God has a divine schedule, a perfect plan that is unfolding exactly as it should. This kind of trust brings peace, joy, and confidence, qualities that will carry you forward with strength and grace. This season of solitude and trust building transforms your perspective. You begin to see that God's delays are part of his divine design, that his pace is purposeful, and that his timing is always for your good. In isolation, he's not just making you wait, he's making you ready. And when the time finally comes, you'll step into his promises fully prepared, knowing that it was his timing, his guidance, and his wisdom that brought you to exactly where you were meant to be. This is the strength of a faith that's been refined in solitude, a trust that no season, no delay, no trial can ever shake. In solitude, God cultivates an inner strength within you, preparing you to withstand the challenges that accompany your calling. Isolation, while difficult, is often a season where God strengthens your core, your mind, heart, and spirit, building resilience that will serve you in every area of life. In times of solitude, without the constant reinforcement or encouragement from others, you learn to draw strength directly from God. It is here that you develop the ability to stand on your own 2 feet spiritually, emotionally, and mentally, relying not on the support of others, but on the unshakable foundation of God's presence within you. God allows solitude because he knows that a calling without strength is unsustainable. Many of the challenges you'll face in fulfilling your purpose require a strength that is unbreakable, rooted deeply in your soul. This inner fortitude is not built in moments of comfort, but in moments of trial, often in the quiet, where you come face to face with your own limitations and God's limitless power. You begin to recognize that true resilience doesn't come from self-will or personal determination alone, but from a dependence on God that fuels you from within, enabling you to endure, to press on, and to rise above. In solitude, you also learn the importance of perseverance. Isolation often comes with its own trials, loneliness, doubt, the urge to give up, and God uses these to build a perseverance within you that is unwavering. This perseverance becomes a core part of your character, allowing you to keep going even when circumstances are tough, even when there seems to be no immediate reward or outcome. God knows that the path ahead will have moments of difficulty, and He equips you to stand strong, not just in the easy times, but in every season. This perseverance teaches you to value the process over the outcome, to appreciate growth over comfort, and to remain faithful regardless of immediate results. As you walk through isolation, you learn to combat discouragement with truth, grounding yourself in God's promises instead of temporary emotions. Without others to lift you up, you learn to encourage yourself in the Lord, to remind yourself of God's faithfulness, and to find hope in His Word. This ability to self-encourage is a skill that will be essential in your calling, as not every season will bring outward affirmation. When challenges come, you will be able to hold on to what God has spoken over your life, refusing to be swayed by external pressures or setbacks. This resilience becomes a powerful testimony, showing that your faith and purpose are not dependent on circumstances, but on God's unchanging promises. In isolation, you also gain the strength to confront and overcome your fears. Without the constant distraction of others, you come face to face with insecurities, doubts, and fears that might otherwise be ignored. God brings these to light not to discourage you, but to help you confront and overcome them. In solitude, you learn to face these inner challenges with God's help, gaining confidence and courage that enable you to overcome any fear that may arise in the future. This courage will carry you forward, giving you the ability to take bold steps of faith, to pursue your calling with confidence, and to trust God even when the journey is uncertain. This inner strength and resilience also lead to a profound sense of independence, not independence from God, but a freedom from the need to constantly rely on others for affirmation or direction. You become strong enough to move forward with conviction, even when others don't fully understand or support your path. This independence is not a rejection of community, rather, it's a sign of maturity, a strength that allows you to walk your journey without being swayed by every opinion or influenced by every external pressure. You learn to walk confidently in the path God has set for you, grounded in His guidance and not the approval or validation of others. Through isolation, God prepares you to be a person who is unshakable, unwavering, and steadfast. The resilience and inner strength that He builds in you will become the very qualities that carry you through future trials, that enable you to stand firm when storms arise, and that give you the courage to face every challenge head on. When God calls you forward, you'll step out not as someone easily shaken or swayed, but as a person of deep resilience, equipped to fulfill the purpose He's given you, no matter what comes your way. God's work of building strength and resilience in you during isolation may feel hidden, but its effects will be evident in every area of your life. You'll find yourself able to face difficulties with peace, to move forward with courage, and to remain faithful in every season. And as you continue on the journey God has set before you, this inner strength will be a testimony of His faithfulness, a reminder that He has prepared you in ways that no earthly preparation could ever accomplish. You'll stand not on your own power, but on the strength that comes from walking closely with God, grounded in His truth, equipped to fulfill His purpose with resilience and unwavering faith. In this journey of solitude, God is not withholding blessings or leaving you behind. He is strategically setting you apart, preparing you, refining you, and instilling within you a strength that only comes from walking closely with Him. He's building a foundation that can withstand the weight of the calling He has designed for your life. Embrace this season of divine separation, for it is not a place of isolation, but one of transformation. God is aligning your heart with His, molding your character, and instilling in you a resilience that will carry you through every challenge. When He finally calls you forward, you'll emerge not just ready, but fortified and empowered to walk confidently in your purpose, equipped to fulfill every promise He has spoken over you. This time alone with Him is not a detour, but a necessary path toward the extraordinary future He has prepared for you. Trust in His timing, lean into His process, and know that you are being made ready for something far greater than you can yet see.